Welcome to the channel, English Epics. Maud looked at Chesterton as if he were the devil staring at a holy cross. "Joseph," she said to him in a completely formal tone, "I want you to leave." "All right, Maud, I'll just pack my things. I don't have many." "Sit down," Donna commanded. "Mom, what are you doing? Are you kicking him out?" "Dawn, he's dangerous for you." Joe looked at Donna, raised an eyebrow, shrugged, and stood up to start packing his suitcase. "I said, sit down," Donna roared. She turned to her mother, narrowed her eyes, and asked sarcastically, "Explain to me, please, Mom. How exactly is Joe dangerous for me?" "What do you mean, how? What do you mean, how?" He seduced you. He... Maud couldn't find the words out, of sheer indignation. "Mom, look at me. I'm 22. This year I'll get my psychology degree. Do you really think I can be seduced?" But you too." "Yes, Mom, you're right. I had a bit of sex with him. That doesn't mean he seduced me, let alone raped me. I've been practicing Aikido for 2 years. I can handle anyone I want." "Donnie, sweetheart, if the neighbors find out, it'll be a scandal. He's your uncle, and he's 10 years older than you. Think about it, sweetheart, do you really want that kind of reputation?" "Uh-huh. So that's what it is. Let me ask you, Mom, do you care more about the neighbor's happiness or mine?" "Huh? Of course I care about you. Donnie, I'm worried about you." Donna hugged Maud. "Mom, calm down, okay? Nothing terrible is happening. If you don't make a scene, no one will say anything. Nobody cares about this. Do you understand? And even if they do find out, let them. It's none of their business. I'll go even further. If I decide to marry my uncle," she corrected herself, "my cousin uncle, I'm not going to ask anyone's permission, not even yours. Maud is 43 years old. She's Joseph's cousin. To be precise, she is the daughter of his mother's sister. And Donna, it turns out, is his cousin once removed. Something like that. Donnie is not a beauty. No one would put her on a runway. But her classic little face, straight narrow nose, full lips, and big brown eyes make this intelligent woman desirable. Add to that a mane of chestnut hair, a size 3 bust, and a playful round butt tightly wrapped in jeans. Yes, Donnie isn't a beauty, but she is charming and attractive thanks to her health, youth, and cheerfulness, and in the end, her common sense too. She and Donna really did sin. Once, then again. They liked it. 2 lonely souls had found each other. This year, everything went wrong. Everything was crooked and twisted. First, in January, Mark Austin, Maud's husband and Donna's father, died. A heart attack. And over the summer, Donna caught her boyfriend with another girl. No, they weren't having sex. They were just kissing passionately and groping each other. But it was. The fact that Donna caught her fiancé being unfaithful, that, of course, was the end of everything. But first and foremost, it was the end of them. Neither the fiancé nor the girlfriend got off easy. And in early September, Chesterton got into some serious trouble. He was lucky to make it out alive. When Joseph returned home, he discovered that he wasn't the only guest in his wife's bed. There was even a small line forming, and he left. Later, he was taken to court, acquitted, and even awarded. He left, moved to a neighboring town, filed for divorce, and temporarily settled in Lafayette in Maud's cottage. She had invited him herself. Really, why spend money on a motel room when your cousin has a couple of empty rooms? Donnie, after breaking up with her fiancé, spent half a year suffering. She was torn between wanting to forgive and take him back on the one hand, and wanting revenge on the other. Then Joseph appeared. They got along well. They found each other interesting. And somehow, almost without noticing it themselves, they ended up in bed together. Just like that, we sat, talked, and shared sorrowful thoughts. Then suddenly, they're already sitting in the kitchen, kissing like crazy. And just a couple of minutes into the entanglement of hot bodies, bam, and they're already without underwear. Jeans and boxers flew off to the side, and the madness began. After their first rendezvous, the lovers were embarrassed and kept their distance from each other. But literally the very next day, it all happened again. And then it just kept going. It felt like madness. Neither Joseph nor Donna could resist the temptation. It was beyond their control. Then, 4 months later, in an honest conversation, they admitted it. Yes, this was love. What else could it be? And so, they simply stopped, resisting the call of their bodies, and let themselves drift along the river called passion. One day, during a conversation with a college friend, Donna opened up a bit. Her friend asked what was going on with her. Austin clarified, "What makes you think something's going on with me? Just look at yourself in the mirror. You're glowing. Admit it, Dawn, you've got a new boyfriend and a new love, haven't you?" "You know, Beryl," Donna said thoughtfully. "Well," her friend urged, "it's just, he's not a boy. He's a man. How old?" "I don't know, I'd have to count, but around 30. "So, how is it?" Beryl asked curiously. "With him, everything's different. Not like it was with Tom." Beryl dragged her friend into the park and sat her down on a bench. Spill it. At first, Donna was shy, brushing it off with vague sounds, but then she opened up and told everything. "You see, Beryl, he doesn't torment me like Tommy used to. Actually, let's be honest. Turns out Tommy didn't know what he was doing at all. But Joseph, I don't even know how to say it, he mesmerizes me. Everything is so tender, gentle, and irresistible. You know what I mean?" Donna covered her face with her hands like a schoolgirl. Beryl nudged her eagerly. "What is it that he does? Come on, don't keep me hanging, spill it." "He sort of sneaks up on me like he's casting a spell. The tension builds gradually, slowly, and then, bam. Pure pleasure. And he keeps going, doesn't stop, and again and again. I drift away, drift away, drift away, and again, wham, like I've been hit by a truck. But it feels so good, so sweet. And again, and again. I don't know, I lost count. At least 3 or 4 times, sometimes more. It's like being pulled into a whirlpool. You get caught in it and there's no way out. Pleasure again and again, over and over. Oh, Beryl, I'm scared. Good Lord. Of what? When it ends, when it all stops. I don't know how I'll go on. I don't think I can live any other way anymore. How often does this happen between you two? If I let him, he'd do it all day, every day. But I get tired. I give myself 1 day off a week, Monday. And then on days when I physically just can't. Well, you've got quite a life. Sounds like your guy's a real sexual marathoner. You know, Don aside, he says things to me, the kind of things, sometimes just his words. I get pleasure from his words alone." "What? Pleasure from words? Oh my God, I've never heard that before. What on earth does he say to you?" "Shoo, Beryl, don't shout. People are starting to look at us." Beryl glanced around. "There's no one here. Tell me everything. What exactly does he say to you?" "Well, all sorts of things." "No, I can't repeat it. It's personal. You understand? Very personal. He even talks to her sometimes." "To her? Who's her?" "Well, her." Donna glanced downward. "You mean he talks to your—" "Oh yeah, I could cry from jealousy right now." Beryl fell silent, watched the ducks swimming in the pond, then said, "Donnie, you have to introduce me to him." "Why?" Donna asked, surprised. "I want to compare his psychological profile with his phenotype." "Don't worry, I have no intention of using him for personal purposes. It's strictly professional." Donna smiled. "You want to figure out how to identify a guy like my Joseph, don't you?" "Yes, you're right." "Well, trust me, Beryl, he's completely ordinary." "Totally. I'm a psychologist too, and I'd like to think I'm a good one. But I don't see anything in his appearance or behavior that would suggest he's a top-tier lover. What I don't understand is this. His wife cheated on him. What, did she find someone who does it better than he does? Joseph didn't understand it either. Could it really all come down to linear measurements? That September, he came home earlier than expected, having escaped from the hospital where he was being treated for a fractured radius in his left forearm and a mild concussion. He was lucky. Jessa Brickman, his old friend, was killed in that mess. In fact, only 2 men from the entire unit made it out alive, him and Corporal Fain. Fane took a bullet to the knee and spent a long time in surgery. The other 8 came back to their hometown in body bags. What was it? A breakdown in the leadership of the narcotics task force? Or sheer negligence from the operation planners at HQ? Who the hell knows? But the assault team got torn apart. No one had even guessed that the shipment would arrive on a German U-boat from World War II, SEAL class submarine. And no one expected that sub to be armed with a French 30mm aircraft cannon. It all went down in the Rockefeller Preserve, Vermilion County. Swamps and gators everywhere. Imagine 1,000 acres of marshland and tangled undergrowth. That drug trail wasn't discovered until August of '08. In September, they were expecting a major shipment, 14 tons. And sure enough, it came. Chesteron, as part of the Abbeville Police Unit, was assigned to support the federal drug enforcement team. Once the cargo was unloaded, the feds weren't going to haul it to shore themselves, right? The operation began. But it went completely off script. Instead of raising their hands and surrendering, the drug traffickers opened fire. They were backed by light artillery from the submarine. In the middle of that slaughterhouse, Joseph managed to shoot 3 of them, but then came under cannon. Fire. A chunk of wood struck him on the crown of his head, and he blacked out. No one knows exactly when or how he broke his arm. You simply can't compare a 30mm DEFA cannon with explosive rounds to a 9mm Glock 17. There's no comparison. Chesteron learned that the hard way. He and Jonathan Fane, along with 12 corpses, both local officers and federal agents, were airlifted out by helicopter. The drug convoy was intercepted on Highway LA 82. Everyone was arrested. But that brought no comfort to Joseph. 2 weeks in the hospital. He couldn't take it anymore. Called a cab and, still in hospital clothes, went home to his Denise. He would have been better off staying in that hospital bed, his beloved wife. The woman he had worshipped through 6 years of marriage and had hoped to surprise, was in their bedroom, having sex like a wild animal with some scumbag. Come on, Adams, don't stop. Harder. More. I'm almost there. Joe froze in the middle of the living room, stunned that he was completely numb. No idea what to do. It felt like someone had dumped a bucket of ice water on him. Or more accurately, a bucket of sewage. At last, he made up his mind. He walked into his study, opened the safe, took out his Remington pump-action shotgun, loaded 3 shells, and calmly headed upstairs. Adams, a large athletic man, well-equipped with a piece noticeably above average, had bent Denise over the armrest of a chair and was trying to tear her apart with his club. Joseph recognized the male. It was his wife's boss, the head of the Vermilion County Tourism Department. "Well, you two are quite the acrobats," Chesteron said dryly. Adams froze, seeing the barrel pointed straight at him, still buried in her. Denise squealed and tried to get off him, but the chair's position made it difficult to break contact. "Denise, don't move," Joseph said calmly. "Just stay like that." The lovers froze in their compromising position. Silence hung in the room for nearly a full minute. Then his wife asked, "Darling, what are you going to do?" An answer finally came to Joe. "What can I do?" he replied with exaggerated sorrow. After a short pause, he added, "Hey man, where are your clothes?" D, downstairs," Adam stammered. "More clearly, please," Joe said, raising the shotgun slightly. Downstairs, the lover finally managed to exhale, then pull it out of her and get out of my house. With a loud pop, the man withdrew his monstrous pride from Denise and headed toward the door. But Joe stopped him. "Wait, I've been thinking. Joseph, please, I'll do whatever you say." "I'll give you all my money," the lover began pleading. "Oh, shut up, you pathetic clown. I don't want your damn money." "This is about something else," Adams began, to panic. "Joe, I swear it was her. She wanted it. She invited me herself, and she's the one who dragged me into the bedroom." "Oh, shut up," the betrayed husband snapped. "All right, here's the thing. I think." Denise tried to straighten up over the chair, but Joseph motioned with the barrel and gave a firm command. "Stay still, darling, don't provoke me. I'm on edge and might do something stupid." Yes, sweetheart, whatever you say. I'm standing still." "So here's what I think," Joe said, turning to the man. "She should be punished. Am I right?" Adams nodded vigorously. "But I can't bring myself to hit her. I love that wretch. So it'll have to be you." You want me to hit her? The naked man asked in disbelief. Yeah, man. Yeah. No. Not with your fist, of course, Chesteron interrupted. Just slap her around a bit. Give her a black eye. Nose, lips, what else? Maybe pinch her breasts. Spank her a bit too, Adams suggested. Good thinking. Joe praised him. Go ahead. The farcical punishment lasted about 5 minutes. Denise just squealed and tried to shield herself with her hands. When Joseph decided the humiliation had gone on long enough, he shot Adams in the back of the head, blew his skull apart. It was a 10 gauge. What do you expect? The woman's eyes went wide in horror, her mouth gaping open. Shut up, the husband ordered. And his wife didn't make a sound. Put on a robe and come to the living room. We need to talk. But what about? Denise pointed at the body. Don't worry, darling. He's not going to steal anything or go anywhere. Get dressed, damn it. Now. His wife cautiously came down to the living room and sat at the table across from him. You know, he began, there were 3 shells in the shotgun. 2 for you bastards, and 1 for myself. But I changed my mind. Now, listen carefully to what we're going to do. Are you listening? Yes, 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 the unfaithful woman nodded quickly. All right, the story is, you 2 came here to discuss some business. What kind of business? You'll come up with that yourself. But suddenly, got it. Suddenly, he attacked you and dragged you into the bedroom, hitting you along the way. Understand? Denise realized she wasn't going to be killed, and with the determination of someone who had just escaped death, nodded vigorously. Yes, yes, yes. He forced you to undress, and undressed himself. Then, how long were you 2 going at it? Yes, yes, yes. Denise kept nodding. Yes, 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 what? You idiot. I asked how long you 2 were having sex in the bedroom. Oh, right. I get it. About 2 hours. She glanced at the wall clock. Almost 2 hours. Got it. So he raped and beat you for 2 straight hours. Understand? Yes, 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 darling. Which means you're the victim and he's the villain. I saved you from a rapist and he got what he deserved. Got it? Yes, 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 Joe. If the truth comes out, and it can only come from you, I'll go to prison, but I don't think for long. No, not for long. You, on the other hand, will be branded a disgraceful adulteress. You'll lose your reputation, your job, your family, and so on. Denise calmed down a little and began to think it through. So, we've staged it to look like he was raping me, and you came in and saved me? Is that it? Thank God. You finally get it. Joseph, darling, I agree. I'll say everything just the way you want. I'll do whatever you say. And Joe called 911. While emergency services were still on their way to the scene, Joe managed to get one. More detail out of his wife, Denise. Yes, 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 darling. Her constant yes, yes, yes was starting to get on Chesteron's nerves, but he chose to ignore the minor annoyance. We've been married 6 years. How many lovers have you had during that time? Joe, darling, this was the first and the last time. Joseph narrowed his eyes angrily. Denise, my sweet joy, I'm thinking about giving you a lie detector test. But maybe we shouldn't waste money on nonsense. Maybe you could just tell me the truth. Well, his wife looked down. 5 to 10, he prompted. Silence. 10 to 15, Joe asked, surprised. Still silent? What? 15 to 20, Chesteron guessed in shock. Yes, but darling, they meant nothing to me. I love only you, his wife whispered. All right, calm down. Everything's fine. Hang in there, the police will be here any minute. You need to act like you're in shock. Of course, there was a trial afterward. At the trial, the prosecution tried to prove it was a deliberate and cold-blooded murder. In Vermilion, the DA's office had a long-standing feud with the police, always trying to undermine them. They were supposed to be on the same side, yet there was constant hostility. No one really understood why. The prosecution based their argument on Joseph's personnel record. Calm, composed, does not lose control under pressure, courageous and decisive. The prosecutor claimed that a man that couldn't possibly lose control to the point of committing murder, and that he had beaten his wife himself to avoid prosecution. Well, he wasn't far from the truth. The judge turned to the deputy prosecutor and asked, "Mr. Gerald, traces of Denise Chesteron's skin tissue and blood were found on the deceased's hands. How do you explain that? I believe those injuries were inflicted post-mortem." Joseph sat on the defendant's bench, mouth agape at such audacity. But the department's appointed attorney, an old fox, calmly proved the opposite to the jury. "Ladies and gentlemen, I assume you're not familiar with the background of this, I must say, tragic case. Picture a man who, just 3 days ago, watched his best friend die right before his eyes. He himself, while defending the American people from a wave of drug traffickers, sustained a severe concussion and a fractured arm. And then he comes home, to the wife he adores, and what does he see? Some so-called man beating and raping his beloved wife. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Really think, what would you have done in his place?" No further arguments were necessary. 2 weeks later, Chesteron was summoned to Baton Rouge for an award ceremony. A state senator presented him with the Louisiana Medal of Bravery, which adds 20% to his pension. In addition, a representative from the Federal National Association brought him the Silver Star from Washington for merit deemed equivalent to military service, another 10% pension bonus. So there it was. You'd think he'd be happy, but there was no joy. In early December, Chesteron divorced his wife through an expedited process. She apparently understood that there was nothing left between them and that a full court battle would only make things worse. So she quietly signed the divorce papers and conducted herself with surprising grace and restraint at City Hall. But before all that, there was Donna. Yeah. Just before Christmas, Joe sat in a small bedroom at his sister's house thinking about his future. There was a knock at the door, and without waiting for an invitation, someone walked in. It was Donna. Well, who else would barge in like that? She sat down on the bed next to Chesteron, and for a while, they both stared ahead in silence. Eventually, Donna broke it. "So, are you just going to sit there like that?" "I'm thinking," Joseph explained. "And I'm not supposed to interrupt your deep thoughts. Donnie, you can always speak to me honestly and directly. So go ahead, talk." Donna reached into her pocket and pulled out a small box, the kind jewelry stores use for rings. "I figured you'd never have the courage, so I had to take care of it myself." "Wait, are you proposing to me?" Joe asked, surprised. "No, you're the one proposing to me. We're about to go to Olive Garden, have a drink, eat some pasta. It's just around the corner. So, and?" Joseph was already starting to see where this was going. "And there, you'll ask me to be your wife. How about that? Right now? Why wait? Could you make it look romantic?" "You know, all decorated with your medals, dropped to one knee. Of course I could. I've had some practice. I already reserved a table and invited a few girlfriends. They'll be happy for me." Joe silently kept staring at the wall. "Joseph, don't. You want to marry me?" Donna asked nervously. "Where's Maud? She's working late today, and what time is your reservation?" 8:30. "Then we've got about an hour and a half. Come here. Thank you for listening until the end. See you in the next episode of English Epics. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Goodbye."